Episodes 2 and 3 are finally out of DuckTales, the new series, and the two episodes are Daytime of Doom and The Great Dime Chase. So in this video I'm going to talk about each episode individually, and then I'll get on to my overall thoughts of the two of them combined. So starting off with Daytime of Doom, really the episode is more trying to get Webby and the triplets, their friendship to build a wee bit more, because in this, Webby has been confined to the mansion her whole time, and she's really never made contact with anyone, not even any, well, apart from Scrooge and Mrs. Beakley, but she's really been secluded in her own little world. And going out in the real world, she's never been on a bus before, or going to this arcade where the boys want to go to. She doesn't really understand what's really going on, and it is a little funny, some of the stuff that she does, like on the bus, but it is a little bit typical in a way, but it is fun to just see her awkwardness, like in the arcade. Though I do love the scene in the beginning of this episode where the boys and Webby are playing with like Nerf kind of guns, and the boys are just playing like for fun and that, and Scrooge is tells Dewey, hey, don't like shout at your target, you lose the element of surprise. And I just love that sort of humor from Scrooge. I also love how seriously Webby takes the whole game. Like, it's like seriously intense, she takes it. And it's just like a real like soldier, like taking down the boys one by one. In this episode, we also get to see the Beagle Boys and Ma Beagle for the first time in this series. The Beagle Boys themselves, let me start off. Their introduction scene was actually quite good. The largest Beagle Boy was actually kind of funny. The final line he had in that scene just sort of made me think about what's happening in that world. But their overall designs, I'm actually glad they've updated them slightly, because the older ones I know were generally just clones and like minor differences. Maybe one was just slightly shorter than the others, or one had a different hat, stuff like that. In this one, the Beagle Boys, one of them is very short and quite plump. One of them is actually really scrawny, and he stood out to me a lot because of that, because a lot of the Beagle Boys were quite big bodied, and the third Beagle Boy is a huge, large man with giant muscles. I thought the Beagle Boys were alright. They definitely stand out as their own individual characters in this way. So you have the shorter one who's more of the brains of the three of them. You have the larger guy who's the muscles, and you have the scrawny guy who's just, the silent one of the three. We also get to see Ma Beagle for the first time in this series, and I don't know what it is. There's something I don't like about her design, and it's not the character. I don't know what it is. I just don't like the design. I like the design of the old one, and I'll show you the two designs right here. I'm not sure what it is, but maybe it's the hair. I'm not sure. But apart from the design, I think she's a good character. She's a good like mother character for the boys. Well, apart from the fact that she basically convinces them to commit crimes, but she's clearly the smartest out of all of them. The boys kidnap Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Webby, and because they want a ransom, and she's just like, "Are you idiots? Scrooge will kill us," and all this, and it is kind of funny. There's another side story in this where it's Donald and Mrs. Beakley, and basically Scrooge has made up these rules where, Mrs. Beakley makes up the rules where if Donald or the others, want to live in the mansion, they need to follow these certain amount of rules, and Donald doesn't want to follow those rules, so he gets his boat, he lives in the pool, he gets like generators and more generators on the boat, and there's a huge accident with the petrol, and yeah, I think Donald's great. And then when they go off to help the boys, And I did think it was a little funny, just Donald's anger towards the Beagle Boys, but I also thought it was toned down a little too much. I think there could have been more to that. Also, just to quickly say, Eric Beza, my apology by pronunciation, and Margot Martindale, they did a great job as the voices of the Beagle Boys and Ma Beagle. Just wanted to say that before I stop talking about this episode. Now, episode 3, The Great Dime Chase, focuses on, well, two stories. You have Scrooge trying to teach Louis the value of money. And basically, that whole thing about getting a child to work. So Scrooge brings Louis to his work, which is the giant money bank. You also have the other story, which is the most interesting, where Dewey, I get them mixed up sometimes. Dewey and Webby go to the McDuck archive, and they are trying to find out about Dewey's mother. Now, just to quickly talk about the Scrooge and Dewey story, or Louis story. Louis, basically, he's just a slob and lazy, and takes advantage of the fact that Scrooge is rich. Rich tries to teach him the value of money. So while Scrooge is in a meeting with the vultures, Louis, I keep mixing these up. My apologies. Louis goes down to the vending machine. He tries to get a soda. He accidentally uses Scrooge's first dime, and then he tries to find that dime. And there's this whole process that is a little bit funny, but it's mostly towards the end of it that's kind of funny. But the other story with Dewey and Webby in the archive is a little funnier, where they meet the librarian and she's absolutely crazy. She tries to slash up Dewey and Webby trying to find records of Dewey's mother. That was actually quite insane. It would have been better if they focused more on that and made it a lot bigger, kind of like in Gravity Falls, where Dipper and the others were in that laboratory underground. If they did something like that, I think it would have been a lot better. We also get to see Gyro Gearloose for the first time in this series, in this episode, and I feel as if they're trying to do a sort of an Enigma kind of thing with this character. And when I talk about Enigma, I'm talking about, of course, the Riddler, but I'm talking about Jim Carrey's portrayal in the Batman, the one with Val Kilmer, that one. Which is kind of good at the same time, because it gives him more of a personality. Really, in the old series, he was just kind of the happy-go, eccentric inventor. And this one, he does have more of an attitude. They say his inventions usually turn evil or something. And, you do see his invention in this, which is Helper, which is a robotic figure with a light bulb head, which is actually an assistant thing, apparently, in the comics. And I'm not that... or in the cartoons as well, or something. That plays a bigger role in this episode. I don't know how much of a bigger role it played before. As far as I knew, it was just his assistant. This one, it plays more into the Louis story more. Also, the ending sort of hints something about him a bit more than I would have thought they would have done with this character. Because, if you just look at this character, and that's the old design, they have revamped it. But if you looked at that design and thought of doing what I think they're going to do with him, from the impression I got from the ending of this episode, you probably wouldn't think it would work. But with the redesign, you kind of feel it. Another shout out to Jim Rash this time, who's the voice of Gyro, and who has appeared in many other animations. Does a really good job as Gyro, as the sort of snarky inventor. I thought he did a really good job, and I really liked it. So my overall impression of these two episodes were The second one, I thought, or episode 2, I should say, I thought was alright. Good introduction to the Beagle Boys, I thought. And I did like, sort of, how do I put it? Them handling the situation that Webby was in beforehand and sort of adapting her to it. It wasn't just very instant, and I kind of like that. The episode 3, I found it a little bit boring, the side episode, but I suppose that was really just to make the whole thing about the mother thing more exciting, I guess. Though it was very minimalized compared to the Louis story, but at the same time, I did like the fact that we were getting somewhere. It wasn't just sort of like it's just a dead end, and we just sort of threw this to make you seem like we were getting further with it, kind of thing. The only other thing is, and I'm sure a lot of people have said this already, that it does seem to me that the DuckTales series, the new one, is going to be the replacement for Gravity Falls with the whole mystery and stuff. And I'm excited and a little bit on iffy about it. Because I don't want it to be like an exact copy, because it's looking for a person just like in Gravity Falls, where Dipper was looking for who wrote the journal. But one thing I do know is that I am looking forward to watching more of this series, and I do look forward to seeing what they reveal. And, you know, that's pretty much all I have to say on these 2 episodes. And hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please comment down below, tell me what you guys thought. And like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe, stay up to date with more of my videos that are to come in the future. Watch more of my previous videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.